Hey everybody, hey, welcome. Happy Sunday, happy Sunday. Let me put on as you can see, I'm not in my typical area. I am actually out of town, so I am broadcasting live from a different location. I'm not at my house. Next Sunday we will not be live, so I just want to let you guys know now because I will be going back to my house and I'll be on the road driving. So we are live this Sunday, and this Sunday what we're going to do. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm actually going to check real quick on my YouTube to make sure I can hear in case no one joins us tonight. And we're gonna get this started. Make sure. So let me see. I can hear. All right, so I can hear. So, yep. So just in case nobody joins us, like I said, we are broadcasting live out of another location. I'm not home. I'm currently in New Jersey, actually. And so, hey, what's going on, David Matney? David, how you doing? How you doing this Sunday evening? Hey, Debbie, how you guys doing? I appreciate you joining, listening this evening. Sorry if I won't be able to actually put up any articles or anything on the screen today because I'm on my iPad because I'm out of town. And so I will be reading from my phone. But as always, just jump on here to have a great conversation around real estate and see what people thoughts, concerns, how they're feeling about this market. As you guys see, the title of this video is Will We Have a Housing Market Burst in 2025? A lot of people have been saying, could it occur now? Could it occur later on? Could prices go up? Could prices go down? Are they stagnant? So I have a couple articles that I'll read from. You guys let me know your thoughts as far as the housing market. Where do you hope that it goes, or where do you hope some insight that you might, feel from either articles you've read, conversations you had um, across different platforms. So let's first kind of dive into. Oh, sorry, real quick. Sorry. Also, if you guys don't mind, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, share, hit that notification bell. I totally appreciate you guys being here on a Sunday, and we won't be too long because, as you guys can see, I'm not at home. I'm out of town. So it says somebody told me there was a party at Clark's house. It might be a party there. It might be a party physically at my house online. We always have a party over here, right, on Sunday nights. I appreciate you guys being here. But it might be a party going on at my house. I don't know. I'm not home right now, so it might be something going on. But all right. So let's jump into this article. I appreciate you guys being here. MHO8, Debbie, David as well. Um, so like I said, I can't with my iPad. I can't pull articles up on the screen. So I'm going to read this one article. I'll let you guys know where this article comes from, and you give me let me know your insight. So the first article we're going to read is actually from Realtor.com. So Realtor.com on September 25th, 2025, they stated existing home sales dip in August, putting market on track for worst year in 3 decades. So as if you guys don't know, typically when they track the housing data, we're always lagging behind a month or a few months or so because people are buying houses, they're closing, people are under contract, they might fall out of contract, and so it typically takes about depending on how you're financing, right? If you're financing through loans, typically you might be within 28, 30, 45 days to type of sometimes close. Sometimes it could be longer than that, depending on what's going on financially as far as making sure you get that clear to close. If you're doing cash, it might take as little as maybe 14 days. I've seen something happen before in 7 days. I don't know. That was crazy, but and don't mind me. Sorry, you guys. I actually was asleep. I was asleep. I've been tired, so my eyes are kind of jacked up. But needless to say, let's jump into this article. It says sales of previously owned homes declined slightly in August as the resale market capped off a summer of weak activity. They say that existing homes, which accounted for the vast majority of residential real estate transactions, fell to 0.2% last month from July to seasonally adjusted annual rate of 4 million. The National Association of Realtors reported on Thursday, and then it says the August figure was up 1.8% from a year earlier, but matched the slowest sales annual rate since 1995, continuing to put the homes resale market on track for one of its worst years for sales in 3 decades unless activity picks up this fall. So just a little bit of this article as far as how the market is moving. I'm not sure where you guys are currently. Well, I know where most people that are joining us currently live at. If anyone is watching later on a replay, I'm not sure what market you're in. If you guys all know, over here on this channel, I am in the Metro Atlanta market in Georgia. And so in our market, what I have been seeing is, of course, more inventory coming to the market. It's very fascinating too. So, and I'll tie this all together in regards to will the housing market burst in 2025, right? Of course, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know where it's going to go. But as far as me just looking at the data in my area and the metropolitan market of Atlanta, Georgia, and just kind of seeing some other trends happening. Of course, we all know Florida seems like it's getting it's getting hit hard as far as real estate and prices kind of dipping down in Florida. Also, like at one point, I think Arizona was kind of getting hit a little bit. Nevada is getting hit a little bit. Again, I don't know the vast majority of how it's really affecting their market because I'm not in that market, so I can't really dig into the data down there, look at the MLSs down there and see what's kind of trending in that market. So this is going off of what we're hearing nationally on the news from other realtors that are in those markets. And again, everything is local to the market you're in too, right? So they might be experiencing, the south part of Florida might be experiencing one thing, the west part might be experiencing something else. So as far as when it comes to the metropolitan area of Georgia, of Atlanta, I should say, what I'm seeing, of course, is an increased inventory in the metropolitan market of Atlanta. Oh, my screen didn't switched over. Let me see if it'll switch back over, of course. Let me see, y'all. I'm gonna shake. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Sorry. This is what happens when you're out of town and you're on an iPad. The screen just flips. Let me actually take these off. Maybe this will help. Take these off. I don't know. Hopefully that the sound didn't change. But I don't know if this is what's causing it to flip. But anyway, what's going on? And let's see, Corey. Hey, what's going on, Corey West? I said, Clark, I'm in Florida right now. There's a storm coming, lots of rain. How was your week? My week was okay. I actually got up to Jersey on Wednesday, so I've been in Jersey since Wednesday. Hopefully, you guys are staying safe. You're staying safe in Florida, getting out of the storm, not within that storm, not within that weather pattern per se, and being safe. But I'm glad you are having. Hopefully, your week is going good as well. I'm sorry, y'all. I feel like everything's jacked up with this live today. Our market prices, David Matney said, our market prices up slightly, sales way down, inventory increasing. Okay, yeah. So like in our market too, David, we're having prices are inventory is climbing, right? Inventory is climbing in our market. Things are sitting longer on the market. And what I'm noticing when I look inside our MLS, what I'm noticing right now, and it's not everything, of course, we have a lot of builders in the Georgia market. Probably most markets that have builders build residential housing, single family housing in those markets, they might be seeing a softening in prices. For some reason, the metropolitan area of Atlanta, again, everything's local. You'll have houses sitting on the market for, let's say, 60, 90 days, 100 days, and then someone will offer either at what the price is listed at, or they might go above it. So let me break it down how everything's working. All right, because I know sometimes people see things online, right? And I don't know how this works in your market, but you'll see stuff online, and when you see things online, you'll say, okay, this house has been sitting for 100 and let's say 30 days. The prices have already been adjusting down. The seller of said property and the realtor agreed to adjust prices down accordingly to whether the market is trending down or whether they are feeling that because they can't move the house due to they might have, if they did overprice the house or when they first listed it, or if the house has now come down in price, but now they might be kind of chasing the market. So 3 other homes in that subdivision went up on the market, and it was 4 in total, including them. And they priced high, and now they're coming down low. And then the other people already dropped. And then they're sitting there, and then they feel like they're chasing. The other homes might sell off or go under contract, because that's what I've been seeing. I've been seeing people list houses, and when they list the houses according to where the market is trending and it makes sense to the buyer's purchase power, then what's happening is the those houses are going pending, and then the other house that was at the top is starting to chase said prices, and they're either one, what's happening, some of these sellers are just sitting and saying, hey, I'm not adjusting the price, I'm not lowering the price, I'm just going to have the price sit as such, and then other ones are trying to chase said price. And what I'm noticing is that finally when they do drop the price, they will then in turn might get the price in which they finally adjusted to, and then you might see a realtor coming with a buyer. The buyer might need, let's say, extra concessions per se. And so what both of the realtors are doing, the buyers and the sellers, they're negotiating set price. So then you'll see a price that might have went, let's say, adjusted down $50,000. They were at $400,000. They adjusted to $350,000. Then all of a sudden they'll close at like $365,000. And people's like, well, why are you buying the house for, if it went down in price, why are you now adjusting the price back up? So within that 365, the realtors, the seller, and the buyer all agreed to put concessions inside there. So they're pushing the price up, throwing in the concessions, and that's why the prices are going higher, even though they might have been sitting longer. So people, what's kind of happening in some of the parts of the Metro Atlanta market is people like, wait, I don't understand this. The houses are adjusting down in price, but yet then they go back up after sitting so long on the market. And because most of the consumers online cannot see why it got adjusted, and typically most times it's adjusted because they have put in closing costs within that price. So I don't know if that makes sense. Let me know if that makes sense to you guys. Debbie said, I don't think your headset mic was working. Sounds the same to me. Okay. Okay. All right, so everything's the same. All right. David said, oh, this is my dad. Hey dad. Let me see. David said, it seems like we have some sellers who are being unrealistic with pricing too. Exactly. We have sellers being unrealistic with pricing, right? And this all goes into the whole thing of like, will the housing market burst in 2025, right? Because we have sellers who they don't want to move in their price. And what I'm noticing too in the Metro Atlanta area as far as prices is that most of these people that are listing now, I'm gonna give a percentage wise. I'm gonna say 50%, even though I feel like it's a little bit higher than that. But 50% of the houses that were that were purchased maybe in say 2023, 2025, these people, I mean not 2025, 2022, 2023, even 2024, these sellers are trying to sell their home. Most of them don't have any equity at all in their home. Depending on where you're at and where you're located in the Metro Atlanta area, home prices have been adjusting down or they've been staying flat. And so because they have already adjusted up, and I keep telling people this, but I don't understand why people don't get it. The pandemic created an inflation that happened, and we talked about this numerous times on these lives, that the pandemic created an inflationary period in which we saw rapid home growth, rapid appreciation, rapid equity in a person's house, right? And so with that being the case, most people bought at the top of the market. And because you bought at the top of the market, there is nowhere to go right now. We have to readjust. And that's the reason why we keep hearing, whether it be the president or several other people saying we need to drop interest rates, interest rates need to drop X, Y, and Z. But how I look at it, and everybody has their opinion in regards to this, how I look at it is that should we drop the interest rates or should we adjust the prices? Because we can always, well, not always, scratch that. We can't always refinance the interest rate. So that's one thing. When people have, even some people that went into buying their home, they sit down with the lender and the lender, or maybe even the realtor, and they say, you can always refinance later. You can always refinance later. We know that everybody does not have the opportunity to always refinance later, right? If you don't have equity in a house, if you lost your job, if you have, there's so many factors in refinancing, right? But if you get the option to do so, what I have been going back and forth with my colleagues in real estate is that I would prefer to actually buy the house at a lower purchase price than actually buy it higher before try to turn around and refinance a mortgage rate later on, because you cannot go and negotiate a home price again once it's purchased, right? You can't go back to the lender, the financier, and say, hey, I bought this house for $500,000 in 2022. The interest rates are 6%. They said I could possibly refinance, in a couple months. The interest rates, instead of going down, they went up. I was in a buy down. The builder told me that they would put me in a buy down circumstance for 2-1. So that gave me 2 years where my interest rate started low and then started build back up. But instead, and at the end, they locked me in either at a certain fixed rate at the end of that buy down, or they told me that it could possibly adjust to the market rates. And with that happening, can I go and can we renegotiate my loan for me to get a lower price in my house? It doesn't work like that. So, and that's what I've been seeing in regards to the market in the Metro Atlanta area. So let me see what Debbie said. Debbie said the problem with most sellers is they want unrealistic prices for their homes. No home is worth more than a buyer wants to pay for it. Period. Exactly, Debbie. Everything is what a buyer's worth willing to pay for said house. And this is the thing that some sellers need to adjust their mindset to. A lot of people have because we entered a very hyperbolic sellers market where people were just throwing home prices up. Realtors were sitting down with the sellers and they were like, well, I bought this house, in 2005, right before the housing crash, and I bought it for $400,000. Then the housing market crashed and it only sold and everything around me was selling for 200 something thousand dollars. Now everything has rebounded after 10 some plus years. However, it's hyper inflated because of the pandemic. And now I want my money back plus some. So I want to sell it for $1 million. And then people were just buying homes at ridiculous prices, creating comparables in the neighborhood that appraisers were like, okay, well, we can adjust. We can adjust to these prices because X, Y, and Z keeps selling. And now it's at the point where we're shifting depending on what market you're in, right? Every market's different. I know some market like Jersey, some areas are still seeing a seller's market, even though there is some downward pressure occurring in some of these seller markets now, where people are actually sitting on the sidelines saying, I don't want to pay that no more. But anyway, if you're in the markets that have been already kind of correcting, we're seeing a lot of buyers sit on the sidelines, and that's the reason why of this video and having this conversation. Like, will the housing market burst in 2025? Because if we keep getting a lot of inventory, and if people are under pressure, as far as someone that might have bought in say 2022, 2023, and they're getting hit with foreclosures. Because what I've also been seeing on the back end too, in regards to these houses that are currently listed on the market, if they have someone homeowner occupying said property, I've been seeing a lot of people refinancing. And I know a lot of mortgage lenders, with the interest rates kind of dipping a little bit, they're like, oh, now's your time, you can refinance. And people have tried to refinance or were refinancing just to get, and it's not even a big difference in your mortgage payment really, but they're just trying to unload the pressure. So that's what I've been kind of seeing, some of that as well. MHOA said, I still tell the investors I want $500,000. Who knows? Maybe one will take it someday. When I do decide to sell, I'll be happy to sell at market price. Yeah, you never know, MHOA. Hey, you definitely can tell people exactly like what you want for your home, and you might get lucky. An investor might see the potential in it. They might come and they actually might give you that $500,000. Hey, you stay strong at your price, depending on of course, look at what's happening in your area, but definitely, if you have nowhere to go right now, I wouldn't say sell your home. If you're in a good position right now, people can call your phone number, right, and you can just say the number that you want, right. But if you're not in a distressed situation, if you don't have to sell, the way we're moving in the market right now, I would tell most sellers to stay still, don't sell your home right now. And just kind of play out this market. It's a lot of uncertainty, but again, it does depend on where you're at. Like I said, it's very local. Clark, do you think there should be regulations on how much a seller can set their home price, so this type of market sway doesn't happen, or would that be too much of a government overreach? Okay, so Corey West said, do you think there should be regulations on how much a seller can set their home price? So, excuse me. So I don't want to put a regulation on how much somebody should sell something for, right? Like I always tell people, one thing about, I guess, the world per se is we put value, we create our own value, right? No one creates said value outside of a company, a person, or whatever, depending on how you're going about, selling goods, houses, or whatever. So I don't want to regulate people's prices they can set. However, what I would love is I would love more regulation in the real estate industry, because if you guys don't know, like the last video we had a conversation about the Zillow situation happening. We, of course, if you guys know, Compass has now bought Anywhere. They've merged. That's going to be a conglomerate as far as the real estate industry. That can actually possibly change how real estate is ran, because if you guys don't know, Compass was in a situation in regards to Zillow stating that when someone listed their property in the MLS, they had exactly a certain amount of hours or days per se. I think it was 24 hours to actually make sure that that listing showed up in Zillow, or they would not allow people to see access to that listing. It would kind of suppress it in their algorithm. And with that being the case, Compass was like, no, we're not doing that, right? And so with that happening, um, with them merging with Anywhere and taking on these other subsidiaries in real estate, I believe this could possibly shift the way the industry is ran, and we might not see as many listings on Zillow as you might have saw before or seen before. So hopefully that makes sense on the first question that you asked, Corey West. And then the second one you said, or would that be too much of a government overreach? Yeah, I feel like that would be too much of a government overreach to kind of tell people, what type of value they can set on their property. But we definitely need regulations in the real estate industry, because just like some other industries, people run amok. People run amok, and we definitely need some regulations, because the mucks are the muckeries. I don't know if that's a word, are running amok. I just made something up. Sorry, guys. And he said, I am in a gentrifying neighborhood. Okay, so you're seeing the neighborhood kind of turn around MHOA. So that makes sense. LOL, give me $500,000. I'll have everything in storage tomorrow night with a room at the Motel 6. Hey, hopefully with the $500,000 too, you'll be able to buy another house, and at a lower price, and you can turn around and actually put some of that money on the side, invest, or whatever you have to do to live out your retirement. Debbie said, do you really think that the government can do that? I'm quite sure they will side with the rich. Yeah, no, I don't think, like I said, in regards to the value, as far as the government doing, kind of putting regulations in place when it comes to the seller amount, swaying that with the stuff, I don't think the government should do that. Hopefully they wouldn't do that. And like you said, I definitely, they probably would kind of side with the rich, because as we all know, when it comes to the political factor, and I don't mind getting a little political over this channel, even though we want to kind of stick to real estate, but we all know everything kind of blends in the world, right? We're an ecosystem. Everything goes hand in hand in some type of sort of fashion. But we do know that most political campaigns, most people that are in government, most politicians, they have some type of end with Wall Street, some type of end with people who have money, because in order to go on these campaign trails and execute said stages and get on the ballots and different things, they need funding to do so, right? So we have to be careful in regards to allowing the government to kind of infiltrate a lot of the different things. However, we do need some type of regulation, and it's not in the sense of creating home values or putting a limit to what somebody can sell their home for, but it's in the sense of making sure people are not coming in and doing fraudulent stuff. Because I see a lot of it happening. Like when I dig into the system and I see stuff, like even when I'm on YouTube, like I watch different YouTube channels and people that say that they bought homes in Georgia, right? And I literally just talked to my colleague about this last week before I came up here. It was this young lady, and I'm not going to call her out because it is what it is. This young lady, she bought a property in Georgia, her and husband, and they're using it as an Airbnb situation, but they utilized a FHA loan, and so it's mortgage fraud. And so, in the sense of different things like that, like really tapping down on those regulations, because we have people benefiting off of spaces and using things incorrectly, and different things like that. So that's where I guess I'm kind of living at, Debbie, in the sense of regulating the industry where we don't have people running amok and those sorts of things. But I also tell people, I'm like, if you want to do all that, even though you should be doing that, but don't put it, because you want to have people like me that don't got nothing to do and that just loves real estate, that I'm going to be all in your business on the back end. So I went and found, she didn't state where her house was at or whatever, but I looked at the video, took her name, I plugged everything in, and I found her in 2 seconds. I tell people, be very careful, because everything, most of your information, well, all your information nowadays lies within public records and online. So be careful what you do. You don't want to get caught up in a mess. David said they tried government housing. It doesn't work very well. Yeah, I agree, David. And then you also have, like, when it comes to rental stuff, you have income. Um, you have some states that did like rent controls and different things like that, and they're actually saying that's hurting the what did they say? It's actually hurting the prices instead of helping the prices, even though they have rent control and they have cap stuff. But I do think there's a way we can lay stuff out in housing where it can effectively help everybody. But we don't want too much of government involvement. But we want free market, right? That's the whole thing of America. This country is creating free market, right? So we can freely do what we want to do. However, we also do need to implement something so we don't have people going off the guardrails, right? But yeah, we don't want people to, control how we kind of move. However, we do need people, which happens in free markets, that we have people who are greedy and people who take advantage of said free market, and they want more than what they should, get for it. So you, as a person on the other end, say if a seller, again, if a seller wants $800,000 for their house, but you do your due diligence, you see what's happening around you, and you know that the house only worth $600,000, then you stand in your ground and say 600,000, not 6,000, sorry, $600,000 is all I'm going to give you, right? And I know that's high, but I'm just using that as a scenario. But just stand your ground, right? And you have to be willing. I tell people this all the time, especially buyers. You have to be willing to walk away. You are in the power, and whether if we're on a seller's market too, they had the right, when we were in this deep sellers market, they were like, we got 50 other offers, and we have the right to choose what we want. We have the right to choose the person we want, the financing we feel is best for us to get us out of the situation X, Y, and Z. So as a buyer, you have the right. Do not allow somebody, whether it be your realtor, whether it be your family, whether it be your friends, don't allow them to force you into buying a house that you feel like doesn't make sense financially for you. Okay? We have to get back to the things of saying this doesn't make sense. Like, I've had a couple buyers that I worked with that they were like, you know what? I think I'm just going to rent. And I said, hey, just go and rent. Because if you feel like it's not financially healthy for you to purchase in this moment, it's better for you just to go rent. Um, you know, Everybody's not going to be a homeowner, and it's okay. It's okay, you guys. Everybody doesn't have to be a homeowner. Some people lay stuff out according to how they see things going forward. If somebody might have a lot of children, they might look at home ownership in the sense of more of a stability, where that they can pay that house off, and then in the future when they pass away, they can put whether a trust in place, different things in place to make sure that house passes on so that their family is taken care of, and just make sure the family pays like that, the taxes, the home insurance on said property. If you're in an HOA community, pay that too as well. But so people, you set up stuff according to how you want things to go moving forward with your situation. So don't feel forced or pressured into doing anything with real estate. MHOA said price controls work so well in the 70s. Hey, you know the thing, like I said, I just don't want to create a sense of where we're just too over regulated, but I definitely do feel like we need regulation in certain spaces, because we don't want to be too overly regulated where we can't see any actual growth in spaces. David said, somehow when the government gets involved, people end up getting wealthy and the money doesn't get to the people it was designed to help. Exactly. That's always the case. Uh, once they get involved, whether it be in any programming, any type of resources in the community, it seems to not always trickle down to the right spaces and the right people in the right places. So I definitely agree with that. David said, mortgage fraud ends up taking a home from someone who can't buy a home now. Exactly. And a lot of people are doing this in regards to the mortgage fraud. Again, that's where I'm saying, like, it's spaces where they could kind of get involved. And it's not really more of like the government being involved per se, but just making sure that on the back end that these lenders, these financiers, just kind of really do their due diligence. Because as you mentioned, David, and hopefully I read it right, that you're taking away an opportunity for a actual homeowner occupier to buy the home, and instead you are utilizing a type of mortgage that is and like put in place for said homeowner to be able to live in a house and purchase their home. So, all righty. And then last one, David said, buying the wrong home ends up costing way more than renting. Yes, it does. And so on that note, I'm gonna get back to this article. I love the conversation we're having tonight. And again, I apologize. As mentioned, I'm not currently at home, so I'm not on my desktop computer, so I cannot bring up any of these articles. So us just having this candid conversation around real estate, I love it. I can talk real estate all day long and go down different paths and tangents in regards to real estate. But of course, most people are probably jumping on here tonight to talk about, will the housing market burst in 2025? And I don't have a crystal ball, so we're just going to read some of what people, Realtor.com, some of the economists have stated in articles and have this conversation about it. So we'll get back into it. So it says, as far as it says, home sales have been sluggish over the past few years due to elevated mortgage rates and limited inventory. So Lawrence Yun, if you guys don't know, David said, sorry. He said, that's okay. Great stream tonight. Thanks, David. I appreciate it. Hey, Lang. Good evening. Good evening. I gotta give you a call back, Lang. I'm sorry. I was sleeping today. So economist Lawrence Yun, who is over like the NAR and the NAR National Association of Realtors. Make sure I'm saying realtor. Yeah, sorry. He has basically said that due to the mortgage rates being elevated and due to limited inventory, that he doesn't really see any type of housing decline or crash or anything happening. However, we do know that every place is not limited in inventory. Again, depending on what state you're in. Like I said, I'm in Georgia, and we have a lot of people, builders. They are building homes, and actually, a lot of these homes are vacant. So what I'm getting now, constantly, I'm getting phone calls, I'm getting texts, I'm getting emails. When I'm at the brokerage, I'm getting new construction sales agents coming by, dropping off flyers, promoting different incentives, whether it be to the buyer, whether it be to the realtor, like, oh, we're giving more in commission amount, we're giving more in incentives amount, and because they're trying to get people over there. And during the pandemic time, maybe some of these builders weren't even willing to pay any commission to the realtors. They were like, shoot, we don't need you no more. The buyers are coming here. They're coming straight to the salespeople. What's a realtor with helping a buyer? Let's just use our sales agents on site that have their licenses and that are going to sell our homes. And so even if you bought a client to them, they're like, shoot, you can go out the door. And some of them still do it now where they don't even want you involved in the process. When you take somebody to see a new construction home, and like they'll always be like, well, we'll take it from here. And then you're like, okay, well, just make sure you include me in any of the emails and your things. And I always tell the buyer, please, whatever they send you, send to me, because I'm not getting everything you're getting. Because they don't want us to be they don't want us to be inside the mix. And their contracts, I don't know if some people notice, but some of them have their own contracts. Well, most of them have their own contracts. So we use the GAR forms, which is the Georgia Association of Realtors forms, that the lawyers in the state of Georgia have created. And some of these builders, they have their own lawyers, they have their own staff, and they create their own purchase and sell agreements, because these agreements are put in place for the builder. I think this is where some people get confused as well when it comes to, and I know we're probably all over the place, kind of jumping from road to road, taking left turns and right turns outside of what we're talking about when it comes to this live. But some people don't realize that when you're buying new construction, the person that's working for the new construction, the builder, that's their client. And the builders put contracts in place to satisfy their well-being. It's not to satisfy you as the buyer's well-being. So I tell people, make sure that if you want to, you can, if you have an attorney on hand that's a real estate attorney, not just no regular attorney, a real estate attorney. If you have a great agent that's willing to kind of go through the paperwork with you, look at the contract, and sit down and actually, take time to read, whether it be virtually, whether it be over the phone, whether it be in person. I do that as well. I try to, talk to people on the phone. We'll go through like the agreements together. We'll try to make sense of everything, read things. And if you have questions, ask the questions, because you don't want to put yourself in a situation that is confusing or does not make sense, or maybe you just missed it in the sense of you reading it. and then you get messed up on the long end. Clark, do you think the market has already priced and future Fed rates, or do you think we will see mortgage rates below 6 in 2026? So I definitely, like in the last situation that just happened when the Feds cut in September of the 17th, I had already talked to a couple lenders and a couple people in regards in the finance industry. And if you guys don't know, I think I might have mentioned this before. My older sister, her dad is actually in the finance industry and has been in it for 40 something plus years. Um, so with that being the case, and talking to different lenders, and I had a feeling, and just looking at the data and looking at things and reading stuff and just looking at everything, I had a feeling that we were not going to see interest rates move a lot, and I had a feeling that they were going to go up. They went up, they softened back down, they corrected, they dipped a little bit, and then that's all. They haven't gone really below, and they're at low sixes. When it comes to 2026, I also feel like things will be, of course, forecasted forward, baked into everything's baked into what's going to happen in regards to these cuts. Just from hearing what the Feds have been saying, I feel like most people, I feel like there might be another cut this year, and it might be 0.25 basis points. Some people think it might be 50 basis points, but I 0.5, sorry, basis points. But I think it might be 2.5 if there's any cut this year. When it comes to 2026, I do feel like we might hit the fives. We might go below the sixes. We might maybe be about 5.8, 5.9. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell the future. We might go up. I don't know. As far as the unaffordability and home prices, people might say, well, if we go up, it makes it more expensive to buy a house because now you have these current home prices and now you have a higher interest rate, which makes my mortgage payment could be higher. And I tell people, well, maybe going up might help people bring down the home prices, and then it might just, you might still be paying the same amount, because if it's $400,000, and this is just me pulling numbers out the air, if it's $400,000 and we have an interest rate of 6%, but then it goes up to 7%, and people bring the house down to $350,000, you might see the same payment, but it might be, a lower price that you pay for the house with a higher interest rate. So I don't know which way it'll go, David. I feel like I took the long road to get to the short answer, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like we might either be at 6% low sixes the whole year 2026, or if we fall under 6, we'll probably be at maybe 0.5, 0.8. That's if it doesn't go up, because the way things are going right now and the way this government is moving, and we do know that the Fed rates does not affect the long term yield as far as that long end. Is more, they do more of the short end. But at the end of the day, would it be indirectly affecting said mortgage rates that we do know typically they kind of follow each other? That's how it's been in years on end. Those two things kind of follow each other. But what's been happening recently is that it's not following each other. It's going one way, where they're cutting one way and it's going another way. So it'll be very interesting what's happening. David said, just wanted to see what your crystal ball says. Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, my crystal ball is all over the place, all over the place. I feel like it wasn't a solid answer, but I don't know. It's so crazy. Hey, son of jokers, I appreciate you being here tonight. No matter where you are, the boomer retirement inventory wave is going to flood the pre-owned market eventually if trends continue. It definitely will. It definitely will flood the market as far as the boomers who own real estate. We do have people in my generation. I'm on the old end of the millennials. I'm not a young millennial. I'm an older millennial. We do have people in my generation, Gen Zers, as well, that parents might have property, and they might not want the property. They might not be in a financial situation to actually take on a property. I know at one time when I was in my younger years as a millennial, my mom, I was in college at the time. My mom had a home in New Jersey. She was relocating to Georgia. I have myself and four other siblings. It's 5 of us. My mom asked, do we want to take over the house? And we all said no. Even though my older sister is a Gen Zer. Wait, Gen Z, is that it? No, Gen Xer. Gen Xer, that's the people above it. Gen Xer, she had her own. She was renting an apartment at the time. Now she has a house in Texas. She's renting her apartment at the time, and she didn't want to. She didn't want to move, and she didn't want to go over my mom's house. Even though I think the mortgage there, I think the mortgage probably might be maybe like $200 a month, because it was, it was half of it was paid off. Well, not paid off, but paid down. And we, none of us took the property. So my mom just ended up selling it. She relocated to Georgia. When I moved to Georgia in 2020, she left in 2020. So I moved to Georgia, and then my mom left, and then she asked me then too that I want to take over the house down there, and I said no as well, because she lived an hour and a half out of Atlanta, out of the metro Atlanta area, and I just didn't see myself commuting that far into the city. So you have people like me, people like other generations that their parents may be boomers, and they have real estate, and the children don't want to take it over. So like son of Joker is saying, I hope I'm saying your name right. You're gonna have inventory from boomers that are retiring that hit the market. Some people that unfortunately pass away, and you can pass away at any age, young or old, or middle age. So you have that happening as well. And then you have several other factors. So we definitely will see a flood of homes on the market. And with that inventory, it's going to be interesting to see where real estate goes. Whether does home prices stay flat? Do they take a dip? Do they go up a little bit? Because we're going to have so much of an excessive inventory as the years go on. So that's a good thing. Good information, son of Joker. I appreciate you being here and joining in the conversation with David Matney, MH08, Debbie, James, my dad James, Lang, everybody, and Croy as well. 2026 is an election year, so we can add the craziness to the mix. Yes, we will be adding more craziness to the mix. Like I always tell people about politics as well. I tell people we got to make sure we vote on a local level, on a state level, because we don't get the opportunity to see these candidates actually run. We just see the pitch yard signs in the yards. We get a couple commercials, whether it be now on the internet and where we're watching a YouTube video, whether we're watching TV still, and we'll get these candidates talking about what they've done and how they're running X, Y, and Z. They come out for photo ops. And I've been around all this because with me having my own business in the tri-state area of Jersey and everything, we would get a lot of political figures that would come to events. Like every year, I threw in partnership with a local nonprofit, I did a free children's book festival, and every time there was a political campaign going on, the mayors and everybody would want to come out and be a part of it for photo ops, say how much they love the community. And I'm not saying people don't love the community, but I'm like, okay, where are we gonna get? Can we get some funding? Can we get some money to help the kids? Because that's what my company was doing, right? It's a children's multimedia company that goes into school systems, helps kids around reading, educating digitally and actually on paper. And so they would just come out for those photo ops, and we will always have to say, like, we're going to give you time on the stage, but please do not talk about your political campaign, because ultimately you're here because you should be here for the city, for the people that you really want to help, and not just to keep throwing your campaign rhetoric to us. And with that being the case, like David said, because I went on tangent again, it's going to be another crazy thing. But just make sure you vote accordingly locally. Don't just go into the ballot and because you feel like you're one party or another party, you just vote down the whole ticket the same party. Understand what these people are doing for your community. Understand what they're ultimately going to do to affect your life, your family's life, your community's life, your city's life, your county's life, and the state in totality if they're the governor or the senator or whatever, right? So yeah, but definitely, like I said, when it comes to political stuff, I feel like we need to have more opportunities to see local candidates run on, like have actual campaigns and debates. Well, not campaigns, but debates on TV. Like we see the national situation with the presidency, because we know that indirectly, again, it's a lot of indirectlies in this country that we call United States of America. Everything indirectly follows stuff, right? So indirectly, when you vote accordingly in your state for your senators, your legislators, and all those type of people, the house, like for the House and everything, they indirectly with the electoral vote for your president. So we got to make sure we dig in tight on the local level. That's why even with real estate, and I always say this on this channel, it's local. Like politics is local. We dig in. Everything is local. We start from the local entity and then we build up. So it's almost like a pyramid, a pyramid shape, right? We start at the bottom, we build the base, and we build up like that. If that makes sense. And don't I'm like, David, everybody, y'all got me going on tangents tonight. You got me going on tangents. I will go on tangents and I will talk so many different lanes that I don't want to get you guys, all riled up. Debbie said, my parents bought in a nice suburban track, in the late 60s for 25,000. We had to let my mom's house go as is when she fell and broke her hip. Oh, wow. Sorry to hear that, Debbie. None of us wanted it, and there was too much work to be done. And this is what, like we were saying earlier, Debbie, in the sense of people, of and Son of Joker mentioned this too, as far as these homes becoming available on the market, right, of inventory, because most times these older homes, like you mentioned, Debbie, they do need more work to be done to it, more upgrades to be done. Because as we move on through life, we know things progress, things change, right? And the houses have changed from whatever type of materials they were using to build the house, whether it be, copper, certain type of copper, um, plumbing stuff, or polybutylene piping, or asbestosis and certain stuff, or different things. And as years gone on, right, with the housing, more regulations come on top to say, oh, this is not the best for this type of house. This needs to be built over, whatever. And we do know, like, the older homes have a stronger build, as far as that wood and all those type of things. But we also know those things change, and when it needs so much work to be done, some people don't want. Most people might not have the funds, or they don't want to take the time to do as much work, that they would rather just relieve it and sell it, get the money from it, and move on, right? So that is the case, like Son of Joker said, like Debbie mentioned, like I mentioned, as far as my mom selling her home and everything, and different people in my family. It's just most people don't want to take on the hassle of owning a home when they're in certain parts of their life, or they're already living their life, whether they already own a home or they're already on the path somewhere else. They don't want to take on something that could possibly, they might feel like it might be, I don't want to say a burden, but it could be something heavy to take on, especially if you live in a community that, say, has an HOA. You got to pay those every month, those carrying costs, right? The property taxes, the homeowner's insurance, and then you're not living in it, right? And if you feel like it takes a lot to kind of put everything back on track, and you can't, per se, let's say, rent it out. And some people don't want to be landlords either, but if you can't rent it out, it's like, it's just better to get rid of it, take the difference in the money, and invest it, save it, and put it aside for things going forward. Let me see. Corey West said, I think prices will come down. Reality will set in. I'm going to stay on the sidelines, eat some popcorn and watch. Yeah, definitely. Again, look at what's happening in your area. Just see how the trends are going in your area. Really, everything is local. Again, it has to make sense for you. When you're ready to do what you need to do for yourself financially, and then also look at the whole bigger picture. Right, when you're financing, pull up the whole amortization schedule, right? I think before I made a mention on this live, and like I said, I can't pull it up tonight because I'm not on my desktop, but go over, type in Google amortization calculator, put in how much, if your loan was X, Y, and Z, you can see what the interest is that's going to accrue on top of that loan. So say if you're buying a house for $220,000, the loan in totality might be $400,000. So just get yourself ready mentally, right? Mentally ready, understanding how you're going to pay this off, understanding how you're going to go through this process, right? Of course, the more money you put down, the more you pay within like a bi-weekly schedule, paying the principal off outside of the interest. You can then put yourself in a better space to pay that loan down quicker, X, Y, and Z. So, but definitely, like I always tell people, make sure it makes sense to you. Understand what's going on in your market. Talk to a local professional that is not going to BS you and tell you a lie. Talk to someone that's going to be truthful. That's going to tell you what's happening in the market, how things are trending, what the comparables look like, where you at on a certain one. And look in the back end too. Like look in the back end in regards to what's happening. Like I'm working with with someone right now, and hopefully, I don't know if he's watching this live or not, but I appreciate him as a person. I appreciate everybody that comes on here and watch every every week. But like he'll send me some like different listings, and we'll look in the back end as far as what's happening. He's looking on his end, I'm looking on my end, and we're just exchanging information so we know what's going on, right? Outside of from what we can see, and there might be other things unraveling underneath the surface, but from what we can see on the back end, like I said, a lot of people right now in the Metro Atlanta area, what I'm seeing again when it comes to housing and some of these houses being up for sale, we're seeing a lot of investors that have houses up for sale, that might have bought a house, tried to fix and flip the house. They could the loan came due, or they couldn't afford to do the full flip with that loan. They over leveraged how much they had, the amount of the loan per se, and now they can't afford to do stuff, so they either refinance, they're going into foreclosure. Like I'm seeing a lot of things popping up foreclosure now. It's not like a big percentage of foreclosures. I actually have a list that I was supposed to bring to show y'all because I've been going through this foreclosure list. The list was about 27 pages, but I had to bring it down because it was like different counties throughout Georgia. So Georgia's a big state. So 27 pages, that's with the certain county of Georgia. So I've dwindled it down to 13 in the area that I work in, 13 pages. But let me see. MHOA say, I got the nachos. He said, I got the nachos. Congress didn't raise my property taxes. Hey. I'm like, Congress better not raise nobody's property taxes. I don't think Congress should have the power to do that. So they better not raise nobody's property taxes. David said, off topic, I saw a video where private equity is now buying YouTube channels. Don't sell out, Clark. Oh, I'm not selling out, Clark. Don't you? I mean, Clark. I am Clark. Don't you sell out either, David. No, we definitely, because if you sell out and you start, because I know, I think it was a couple of these commentators on here that channels blew up or whatever, they kind of sold out. If you're talking about the same thing that I heard too, and then they, you can't talk the way you need to talk. You can't have your freedom of speech. So I would never sell out. And that, I'm sorry. I'm like, and that might be the problem why I'm always on the lower end of everything, because I do stand solid in my morals and what I believe in and what I do. And so there's been a couple opportunities to do things in life, and I didn't take it. Sometimes you're like, should I have? But I'm like, things will happen accordingly. So you just stay strong. And I say that to everybody. If you feel like it's not right for you, or if it doesn't make sense for you, don't just do it just to do it. Alrighty. Let me see. Debbie said, it had the original furnace from the 50s, needed a new roof, and the plumbing sucked. A lot of deferred maintenance. She didn't want to spend her money on it, which makes sense. You don't want to spend your money on a lot of deferred maintenance. And nowadays, from the time in which the house was built to the time now, depending on how frequently your mom may have updated things, that the cost to do that now is going to be astronomically more expensive, depending on how frequently the updates were made throughout the years. So it makes sense. Sometimes it's better to sell something than to put more money into stuff. And that's what I'm having right now in the situation where I'm trying to figure out where my car. If you guys don't know, I'm going through car situations now, which is crazy. But I'm like, do I just keep it or do I just buy another one? But hopefully, pray to God, I can just keep it because I don't have a car note and I don't want a car note right now. So everybody, send me wishes. David, I appreciate the super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thanks again for a great stream. Yes, please, people, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate everybody for being here, being a part of this live on a Sunday night. I know football season has come back in play, and I know you guys could be anywhere in the world, but you came here and you joined this live with me, and we had a discussion. And again, this is the reason why I do these lives outside of Christina Smallhorn, who's a wonderful YouTuber. She told me I need to jump on here and do some lives and have conversations because talking to her and to other people, like, you have a lot to give, so you need to get on here and do these lives. So I appreciate you guys coming over here, jumping into space, having these live chats with me, even in times where I'm in spaces like this and I can't share my screen, and you guys still being here to help along in discussion. So I appreciate having this, community and conversation with everybody. Smash it. Yes, please, everybody, smash that like button. Smash it. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you. MHOA said, I asked my mechanic when it would be time to sell my car. He said, you'll know. He was right. I knew. Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to, I'm like, if you guys don't know, and then, we're almost at an hour time, and I don't want to keep you guys too long. If you guys don't know, I think I might have mentioned this before on the channel, that in 2022, I was in a car accident. A young girl around 19 years old hit my car, that I had, and it flipped over on his head upside down. And I was in the middle of the road. Me and a friend of mine, we were in the middle of the road upside down, hood on the ground. Luckily, the lights the lights was red, because if not, we would have been smashed by a car because we were in the middle of the road. And with that being said, we were in the midst of this pandemic stuff. Car prices went astronomically high, and they're still high. And so I had to buy a car. So I've only had this car for 3 years. So I'm like, I'm having problems now, and now I got the car paid off. I'm like, what the heck is going on? This is not time. This is not time. But yeah. So yes, Clark, I want to buy in Miller Boys Town or Midtown Omaha when the time is right. Okay. Well, you definitely have somebody on here, right? You have David living in Omaha, Nebraska, a wonderful realtor, wonderful all around person. So you definitely can connect with David when the time suits you right. You can have the conversation with David as well offline, and just see what the market's doing, see what makes sense for you. So to kind of get analysis of what's happening. So but you definitely have a good person here on this live. So definitely connect with David Croy if you're looking in that Omaha. I'm guessing you're saying Omaha, Nebraska, right? Because I know every state has different cities that are similar. So I'm thinking Omaha, Nebraska. I don't know why I just assume stuff. So my apologies for saying Omaha, Nebraska. But when I think of Omaha, I think of Nebraska. But I know there's other states where they have similar cities in them too. So, but I apologize if it wasn't Omaha, Nebraska. Lang said, we love you. We always enjoy you. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you, Lang. I appreciate you. David's laughing. I'm like, David, MHOA, David, y'all be having so much fun in the comments. I love it. He said, wow. Yeah, that was my car situation. MHOA said, my trip to Washington sure knocked Omaha down a few pegs for where I like to retire. Oh no. So you like Washington more than Omaha now? Corey said, yes. Okay, so you were looking at Omaha, Nebraska. Okay, cool. All right. Then I assumed something. I was like, oh shoot, I just assuming stuff. I'm like, what they say, when you assume, you make a beep out of yourself. Then he said, I always learn when you teach and share with us. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm hoping to get, I need to get another person on to join me. So soon we'll have somebody else on here, but I knew that I wouldn't be able to do it tonight just because I'm in a different space. And then next Sunday, you guys, I will not be live because I'll be actually on the road going back to Georgia because I drove up here. So I'll be on the road going back. So I won't be live next Sunday. So please come back the following Sunday. I'll be missing next Sunday, but please come back the following Sunday. I know sometimes when you miss a week or whatever, YouTube doesn't send out alerts or tell people to join. So, but I'll be back the following Sunday. MHOA said Denver, Iowa, the Mile Wide City. Okay, so you're looking at Denver, Iowa. Oh wow, okay. I've never heard of Denver, Iowa. Did I say it's Iowa, right? I'll make sure I'm saying it right. I'm like, he said, Old Town is a cool place. Debbie said, great convo. Gotta bounce. Have a great week. Yes, you too, Debbie. Thanks for joining in. I appreciate you being here. Wonderful conversation tonight. I appreciate everybody. Appreciate everybody for joining. Like David said, hit that like button and have a great week, Debbie. Yes, have a great week, Debbie. So yeah, we're coming to an end. We got about a minute and something left. I feel like we didn't even touch on all the articles that I had here. But one more thing before I jump off. Like I said, as far as mentioning in regards to the housing market burst in 2025, like I said, the premise of saying that is just from looking at my local area, outside of other things that were kind of stated in some of these articles that I didn't get a chance to really dig deep into, but we were having a great conversation. So sometimes we don't need to dig into articles because we're having a great convo here, right? But that's what I've been seeing. So I've been seeing when it comes to some of these homes listed on the market on MLS, a lot of these people that are listing now, they're some of them might be in tough situations. So they've refinanced a lot. They've got several distress foreclosure notices. When I look on the back end, there are some of these people might have passed away as well. So their homes, you know, no one is paying on it. So they're now some of these homes are falling into foreclosure just because somebody's passed away. Um, and some of those homes might not have even hit the market. They might have um, just hit the foreclosure list because the person has passed away. So there's a lot of different things kind of moving around out here. So I tell people we gotta understand it back and see what's really going on. David said, "Thanks again, safe travels." Yes, thank you, David. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Hey, Donna, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate you being here tonight. If you guys are just joining us now, please, if you want to, don't. And if you missed us, don't be scared to go back, tune in from the beginning of the live to join in the conversation. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to comment below where you're joining us from. Don't forget to hit the subscription button, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the notification bell to know when we're live on this YouTube channel. And I'm going to see what MH08 said, and I'm going to jump off of here. MH08 said, if I had to move to a city that began with the letter O, it would be Omaha, hands down. Okay, so there you go. So MH08 said if he had to move somewhere, he would be moving to Omaha, just like Floyd West. They're gonna be moving to Omaha. So I don't even know if I'm saying it right. David knows how to say it. But again, I appreciate everybody for being here tonight. If you guys don't already subscribe to David Matney's channel, it is Living in Omaha with David Matney. Like I said, I can't share any screens on this when I'm on my iPad. But please head over to David's channel, give him a subscribe, and tune in to his live. They are Tuesday nights Eastern time. I'm on the East Coast, so it's 8 o'clock Eastern time. If you want to learn more about Omaha, Nebraska, and also everything that's kind of trending in real estate over in that area, it's always interesting. And David has a lot of wonderful guests, so definitely jump on and tune in with him. And again, I appreciate everybody for being here live with me tonight. I will see you guys not next Sunday, but the following Sunday. All right, you guys have a safe night. Be safe. Take care. And if you have any family, hug them, kiss them, and take care, y'all. All right. Bye-bye.